Hey, what's up guys? I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a video about my top 20 favorite films of all time. Now what I mean by that is, they're not necessarily the best films ever made, but they're the kind of films that I can watch over and over and over again and just never get tired of. So check out the list. Number 20, Dog Day Afternoon. Now this movie stars Al Pacino. This was made back in the early 70s, I believe. And it centers around Al Pacino's character named Sonny. And now Sonny's trying to rob a bank, and from the beginning it's kind of unclear exactly why he's trying to do this. And he's definitely not the guy that's the typical bank robbery. I mean, he's pretty much a goof. And so are the two guys he tries to rob the bank with. And even from the beginning, when they go there, one of the guys chickens out and just hands him back the gun and says, "Sorry, Sonny, I can't do it," and just takes off. And from there, it's pretty much a chain reaction of just bad events happening over and over and over again that you can tell they're just way in over their heads. And as the movie progresses, you find out a little bit more about Sonny, and his life's pretty strange. And the crowd that's outside, they're kind of for Sonny in the beginning because he's out there screaming "Attica, Attica," because of the time it was made, there was a prison riot at Attica, so all the people on the streets were already kind of angry at the cops. So he gets them all riled up, and so they're kind of on his side until they find out that he's gay, and then they all just turn on him because as the story progresses, you find out that he was really robbing the bank to get a sex change for his boyfriend at the time, or boyfriend before. But anyway, that was the motive behind it. And it's just a really intriguing plot, and definitely an interesting movie that was made at that time. It's kind of a strange movie to watch, but it's definitely one to check out. Alright, number 19, we've got Batman. Now this is the Tim Burton Batman with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. Now Batman's been pretty fortunate over the years to have a lot of good people play the Joker. I mean, even though a lot of people don't like the 60s one, Cesar Romero did a great job as the Joker in that, and Nicholson does a really good job in this one, and Heath Ledger, of course, did a pretty good job in The Dark Knight. But this is my favorite out of the live-action Batman movies. The story is kind of weak, but Tim Burton, he never really has a strong story. He's more on visuals and just crazy-looking art and stuff like that, which really comes across in this movie. Like the woods that the Batmobile's driving through, the trees are really tall and kind of warped, and the chemical plant's kind of a strange building that you'd never see. It's got some warped architecture. And of course the story is slightly warped too, and Jack Nicholson brings a really good performance in this movie. One of his better performances. Now, number 18 here, we've got Dracula, the original one. Now, this movie is just a classic. This pretty much started the Universal horror movies, where they just went through all the movie monsters. Frankenstein, Wolfman, Mummy. This pretty much started it all, was this movie. And a lot of people don't like this movie. They think it's boring, but when I first saw this movie, I was 12 years old, and I was definitely not bored by this. I rented it like every weekend for like 2 months. Now, if a 12-year-old can watch this movie every weekend, over and over and over again, I will tell you, this movie is not boring. It's anything but boring. But anyway, it stars Bela Lugosi, directed by Todd Browning. And this was one of the first sound movies. It's near the beginning of the sound era, so they didn't quite understand exactly how to utilize music. So you hear Swan Lake on the title card, but throughout the rest of the movie, there's very little use of music, which actually adds to the atmosphere of the movie, I think. There's a lot of silence, but it does add to the creepiness of the film. And of course, Bela Lugosi he's the classic Dracula. Everyone aspires to be Bela Lugosi when they play Dracula. No one's even come close to that yet. Christopher Lee did a pretty good job in the Hammer films, but he's definitely number 2 to Bela Lugosi because Lugosi was just the best. Number 17, we got Star Wars. The episode 4, I guess you'd call it now. It was kind of hard for me to pick from the original trilogy of which Star Wars I liked, so I figured I'd just go with the one that started the entire saga. It stars Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Peter Cushing's in there, another guy from the Hammer films. And it's pretty much your basic story, you know, guy saves princess type of story. But it's like the characters in the movie are so imaginative, and the makeup and just everything in the movie is done so well that it makes the story work. Because, as everyone probably knows, George Lucas borrowed a lot of ideas and things from mythology and religion and just a lot of stories in general, and kind of just combined them all together in one movie. And it turned out really well. And I think everyone knows the plot of the movie by now. And if you don't, well, you probably need to see this movie. I mean, it's one of the best movies ever made. The original trilogy, in my opinion, is far superior than the new ones that they made. Although I did like Episode 3. But the DVD releases of the original trilogy, they're not so great. The DVD I have actually does have the '77 theatrical version on it, which is good. I just don't like all the touch-ups that they keep doing. They keep adding special effects and CGI and stuff. It's just not needed. You don't need that. It looked fine before, and I like the puppets and the animatronics and stuff way better than CG. It clashes with the rest of the movie. It just looks out of place. Like, you can tell when they replace something in the movie, and it just looks bad. So, number 16, we've got Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This movie stars Sean Penn. He's Jeff Spicoli, the kind of typical surfer dude. This is, in my opinion, this is like the 80s high school movie right here. A Breakfast Club is close, but Fast Times is better, in my opinion. But it follows a girl named Linda and Jeff Spicoli, which is Sean Penn's character, and two other male characters. I can't remember their names. And just kind of all the things they go through in school. Like, Linda ends up getting pregnant by this guy named Mike, who's pretty much a real douche. I mean, he doesn't really even want to take care of the kid at all. And he's friends with a guy that actually really does like Linda and actually care about Linda, so that kind of creates some controversy there. And Spicoli's just a screw-off in school, basically, like ordering pizza in class and just never going. It's just, the story is pretty loose in the movie, but there's so much funny stuff that happens and so much stuff that actually could occur and does occur in high school that it's just a really relatable movie, and it's really funny. Number 15, we've got The Evil Dead. Now, I kind of had trouble picking out of this trilogy too, because I really like all the Evil Dead movies, but yet again, I figured I'd just go with the one that started it all. This is kind of gained a lot of popularity over the years, because when it first came out, it was just kind of, people thought it was alright. It kind of came out in the heart of when a lot of bad horror movies were being made in the 80s, so it was kind of like lumped in with those, but over the years it's gotten the recognition that it deserves. But it's basically, Bruce Campbell stars in this one. This was before he kind of got his little stardom, I guess you'd say. And it's basically these kids, they go out to a cabin, and they're going to stay the weekend, and they end up finding a scepter and some other artifacts and something in the basement, and they find an audio tape of a guy that had lived there before them. And they play the audio tape, and he's like reciting some incantation on the audio tape, and it basically awakens some kind of evil in the woods, which then allows the evil in the woods to take possession of the humans that are in the cabin. So pretty much everyone just gets possessed by the evil, and they all turn into zombie demon type things. And the special effects in this are really great. Like the makeup and the blood and everything looks really good. And this pretty much started there's not as much comedy in this one as there is in Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness, but this one kind of started the ball rolling on the whole comedy horror type thing.